All right. We return. You're listening to America's Voice Now. I'm glad to have you on board with us this morning. We've been talking this morning about guns, lobbying, also known as bribery, and we've been evaluating why it is that these tyrants and monsters are attempting to do this slowly at a snail's pace. Because they know, and as will shortly be proven in Connecticut, that if they try to go out there and confiscate weaponry and make law-abiding individuals who are just trying to mind their own business into felons, into criminals, they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the tree of liberty will once again get its sustenance from the blood of patriots and tyrants. Truth is, we're surrounded by them, the tyrants. They have you all bottled up. They have you all nervous, calling yourself, well, I'm a law-abiding, tax-paying American. Make no mistake about it. What you're really saying is I'm a slave. Do we need the rule of law? Absolutely. But what you have now is not rule of law. What you have is subjective law. And law that is subjective is not law at all. It is whim. It is the rule of men. And it is tyranny, and it is treason. Nothing will change that. Barack Obama and Angela Merkel. That Putin, he's not living in reality. He's living in some fantasy. Is he now? But he's in control of a whole country. And you're afraid to go take it back. So who's in reality now? Him or you? Ayn Rand has said to us that you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequence of reality. And that's a perfect response to Barack and Angela. They've ignored reality. And now the consequence is here. And they don't like it. Not one bit. And they can't avoid or ignore the consequences of the initial reality they ignored. What is that reality? That humans and mankind are a violent and corrupt race. A species that thrives on exactly what motivates them: greed and power. Despite all the hopeful claims for world peace from every Miss America since the beginning of the pageants, we will never have world peace, because there will always be a Putin. There will always be a Adolf. There will always be a Janet, a Barack. There will always be a Yosef. The world is full of them. We will never have a peaceful planet, because the people in power One, they know that that will never happen because they themselves are exactly that which they decry. And they know it and don't care. Their words are only to fool you. They know that there is about as much chance for peace in the Middle East, in Eastern Europe, in South America, in Africa, in Asia, and right here domestically in the United States, as you have a chance of winning the lottery today. But they continuously tell you that there is a chance, there is a hope, and we must always reach. Ever notice how you're the only one who's doing all the work? Aren't you tired of the threat that tyrants use on you while simultaneously declaring that you should fight against tyranny? But only not them. They're not the real tyrants. Well, the White House has announced their new Obamacare delay for 2 years, conveniently coinciding with not only the 2014 election, but also the 2016 election, where I'm assuming that most of the liberal progressive pukes in the nation are dreaming Hillary dreams right now. And Barack may actually be dreaming Barack dreams. The truth is, Obamacare is not good for America, never was. It was never intended to be a altruistic benefit for the poor and the downtrodden. Proof of the pudding is that they knew all along that the 30 million people they were passing this for, that they were going to subjugate the other 300 or 280 million for, were never going to get it. It wasn't about covering 30 million. It was about gaining control over you. It was about gaining the opportunity to have you, under the threat of force, willingly submit your name, your information, your personal data, and join a national database where the information can be parsed and sliced and diced and massaged, where you can be tracked and monitored, and your expenses monitored, your purchases and profiles built, where even your most personal healthcare issues are open to review by nameless, faceless minions. You see, what we should be saying to Washington is exactly what Connecticut Carrie just said to the state of Connecticut. You passed it, now enforce it. Exactly as you passed it. And if President Barack Obama decides that he wants to unilaterally, illegally, unconstitutionally, tyrannically change that law by fiat, then he needs to be removed from office. Preferably by some legal means. But quite frankly, removed with prejudice. In other words, he can never come back. None of this, well, we're going to impeach Bill Clinton, but we're going to let him keep the seat. You see, Barack will never be impeached because he's got Harry Reid in the Senate. And unless the Senate rolls over in 2014, that's a pipe dream. And even if the Senate rolls over in 2014, the NSA and the FBI and all the rest of these agencies have so much dirt and so much dope on 535 members of Congress that they are as malleable as 24-karat gold. They're so weak, they can be bent by hand. They are coerced. They are co-opted. They are compromised. And they are worthless to us. You know what happens to countries that oust their leadership without a plan of action? Invariably, they go through a number of phases. And it seems like the people that gain control are always no better or no different in short order than the people they just ousted. Because first, the money will never allow constitutional government here. What do I mean by that? Well, go look at the list of donors to the traitors in Congress. You don't have far to look. I posted it up on AVN this morning and on Facebook and everywhere else. Go look at the list of the traitors that are paying your elected officials to sell you out. That's what lobbying is. Listen to a politician try to express what lobbying is. Well, there are legitimate concerns, and there are people that really have legitimate concerns. What about our legitimate concerns? We can't afford a lobbyist. Well, you might be a part of that smaller group. See, we have people that come in and lobby us for seniors, and if you're a senior, see, you are represented. Stop. That's like the heroin addict rationalizing, I can quit anytime I want. Anybody got a needle I could borrow? I'll stop tomorrow. They're liars. And it's amazing to me because I've seen so many politicians in my life who promised to get in there and do the right thing. In fact, I think the vast majority of them, when they first arrived at the position where they determined that they were going to run, they did it with the right reasons. I can go in there and make a difference. But human nature and its failings attacks them all. And soon they recognize how comfortable and how nice it is here. And they recognize how easy it is to just go along to get along. And the money comes easy, and the dinners and the camaraderie are fun. You go on junkets and trips. All you got to do is show up for a vote. People come in and give you gifts, take you out to dinner, butter your bread, treat you like you're somebody, and suddenly your head begins to swell. And you're away from home a lot, whether in Washington or in your state capital. And there's that oh-so-nice girl or the aide there's that restaurant owner where every time you walk in, he treats you like you're the king of Siam. You have a special license plate for your car and parking spaces so you don't have to get wet. The rest of us. The money flows and the wine flows. And when you speak, people hang on your every word. Even though you're barely capable of stringing 3 coherent words together in an articulated sentence. And slowly but surely you believe your own lies. You start drinking your own KoolAid. And then comes the time to run again and you say, well, I'm not finished yet. I have more work to do. Before you know it, you've fallen so far that you daren't even look at yourself in the mirror and admit what you have become. And it isn't long until you just determine that I may as well throw all caution to the wind and just accept where I am and what I've become. And then you become an ideologue. And anything that threatens your position or your opportunities becomes the enemy. And you think back to when I first got this role and all those grandiose ideas I had and how I was really so naive. And if those people back home only understood, and you justify, and you rationalize, and you betray. That's why our founders never intended for you to be paid. They never intended for you to have a career. They never intended for there to be public service unions. They never intended for government to be laden down by all of the weight and all of the self-interest. They warned us, they begged us, they pleaded with us. Watch. Be aware. Here are your warning signs. And we have not heeded them. And look at us now. I've got to sign up before March 1st or March 31st because Barack said so. They're going to find me. And I'm law-abiding. I am. I'm no criminal. And I don't want to stand up because they might audit me. I'm not going to speak out about guns because those people at the NSA, they're watching everything that we do, and they're going to know I have some, and they might come and get them. So I'm just going to sit here quiet. Well, I don't want my friends and my family to think I'm one of them tinfoil hat people. I don't want to look like that. I mean, it's embarrassing. Think it was embarrassing for 6 million Jews to be stripped naked? Their clothing, possessions, their homes, their businesses, made to stand in line and lick soup from the bottom of a bowl. Think it was embarrassing to stand there at the barbed wire fence and think to yourself, if only I'd fought back. Think it was embarrassing as you were walking towards the oven door and still didn't have the balls to fight, knowing your death was imminent, and you still didn't have balls? Oh, I know. I don't want to jump the gun. That could be dangerous. I understand. I get it. You would rather sit there. You would rather sit there and not take any action. That's fine. Just know that we know still, if you will not fight for the right, when you can easily win without bloodshed, if you will not fight when your victory will be sure and not too costly, you may come to the moment when you will have to fight with all the odds against you and only a precarious chance of survival. There may even be a worse case. You may have to fight when there is no hope of victory, because it is better to perish than live as a slave. What is it you want? What is it that you seek? If you love wealth better than liberty, if you love the tranquility of your servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, then go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsel, nor your arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were ever our countrymen. Is that what your heart believes? Because I would rather feel and say, it is in vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace. But there's no peace. And the war has actually begun. For the next gale that sweeps down from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. And our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that you gentlemen wish? What would you have? Is your life so dear, or your peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. Please find us on the web at americasvoicenow.org, facebook.com/americasvoicenow, spreaker.com/user/americasvoicenow. Hit the like button on both of those. And send me an email and tell me your thoughts at mike@americasvoicenow.org. Keep the faith and keep your powder dry.